A very good evening to all my friends across the continent. Today is a very special day because we are launching our first ever social impact series through my inspiration and the inspiration of millions, to Miss Dipika Trehan. She is the founder of the How Forum and the Corporate Diva. Her organization works across verticals of holistic employee well-being and a women leadership development platform towards building women leaders. Corporate Diva addresses the upskilling and support needs for the entire life cycle of women professionals from university classroom to the corporate boardroom. Deepika has been awarded as the top 100 global diversity and inclusion leaders by Economic Times Now, awardee of representing India on a 4-week scholarship of Israel to Israel for Innovation in Women's Health Program, applauded in person by Ms. Sherry Blair for her outstanding work in bridging the gender gap, woman leader during the COVID-19 pandemic. She's also listed as a top woman leader by the CEO magazine, etc. There are so many more about her. If I keep on going, I think I will lose all the adjectives to go on and on about her. She is the woman leader who has created the real ripple effect in the ground reality. She's ranked amongst the top woman achiever in Karnataka, and recently the Corporate Diva was announced as the top 10 emerging organization to watch by Rivopreneur magazine. A very warm welcome to you, Deepika. Thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. That was quite a generous introduction. Thank you so much.
What I felt from within, I just poured out right there because you deserve every word what I said. Deepika, before we jump onto the interview, I just wanted to understand, how did you conceptualize this entire How Forum, and how did this idea evolve to be such a brilliant idea which you are actually running it so successfully?
A very pertinent question, and I think a beautiful question to start with, Sangeeta. Innovation happens when you fall into a gap yourself and you realize that there aren't doors open around you. And that's when you try and do things differently to, if not possible there and then for yourself to open doors, but to ensure that you dig a tunnel deep enough that it leads to light for others. And that's exactly how the HOW Forum as well as Corporate Diva came into being. HOW Forum is the Health of Women Forum, and that came from a space of my own journey of well-being and not having an access, a network to fall back on for support towards my emotional as well as physical well-being. And a woman in particular goes through a lot of changes in the body, a lot of emotions, a lot of things like thyroid, PCOD, post-pregnancy, postpartum depression, and all of that. I went through that as well, and I couldn't find support, and that's what led me to first become a yoga instructor myself, so I understand the topic in depth, and then lead on to corporate well-being and stress management programs. When I was doing that, I landed up interacting with a lot of women in the workforce. And I noticed one thing which irked me myself as a woman was that when there's so many of us in the workforce, why aren't there many of us in the top management or in decision-making positions? And
I think due to the heavy rainfall, what's happening in Bangalore, she's sort of losing the connection. Apologies, I'm sure she'll be back again soon.
Yeah,
just technical glitches once in a while. Yeah, sure, Deepika. Just lost you for a few seconds.
A connection issue. Sangeeta, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. We just lost you for a few seconds.
Yeah. So when I identified gap in the number of or the percentage of women in workforce vis-a-vis the percentage of women in senior management or decision-making positions, that's what got me to think that what is the reason why so many of us are not there? Does that mean that there is credibility, capability only of 3% of us to be on the top and in decision-making positions? I really, really questioned that. And that's what led me to deep dive into the subject of bridging gender gaps, to align my work with UNDP Goal 5 of gender equality. And that's what led me to form whatever little iota of contribution towards building women leaders that I could towards equal leadership. That's how Corporate Diva got conceptualized.
That's such a brilliant, people say every beautiful idea starts with a thought and then sort of, comes out to be a beautiful flower. The way you have built so many women over last 5 to 6 years, I've seen each one of them taking the leadership and actually making a lot of transformation in their own field. Great, great inspirational story, Deepika. Thank you for sharing that note. I would like to know, Deepika, you had I have seen you got support from various the icons of the industry. You have support coming in from Sherry Blair herself. You have Mr. Abhinav Bindra, Mr. Mohandas Pai, Gulpanag. What makes them support you? I think we lost you again for a few seconds, but till the time she's back, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen in last 6 years of the journey, she had real iconic people from the industry coming and supporting her. So my next question to you, what makes them support you?
What makes them support me?
Yes.
Um, I think, I've always believed, Sangeeta, that authenticity travels far. It takes time to travel. It may not travel at jet speed vis-a-vis a highly marketed initiative. But when you're authentic, when the intent is pure, when it is impact oriented, and it's not just about numbers, it's beyond numbers, it's more towards genuinely impacting lives, I think that travels very far and reaches further as well. That's what happened in the case of dignitaries like Sherry Blair, like Mr. Mohandas Pai, like Mr. Abhinav Bindra, like Ms. Gulpanag, and so many more who turned up in support of the platform and and have been supportive for, like, I know for sure Ms. Sherry Blair, my interaction goes back to 2017 with her. Mr. Mohandas Pai has been supportive as well. So I think authenticity could be that one key factor that drew them towards the platform and enable them to give unconditional support.
I think beautifully, authenticity and honesty, these are the key word. And consistently being authentic for a genuine cause that you stood out for a brilliant cause, which is coming out to be really impactful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that journey. Deepika, I have personally been touched by your work and, I can understand how much change you're bringing in for every woman at workplace. My next question to you, you have worked on women leadership space very closely. What is the finding you have in the space? What is our women leaders lacking today? And what is the gap you are trying to bridge?
Beautiful question. And I'd like to answer it that the reason why I so passionately work towards building women leaders is because they do not lack anything. But talking about the gap is in terms of how their journeys are different from the other gender, how their struggles are different, how the environment, the perception, the confidence of people in women when it comes to decision making are still clouded and still have a long way to go. So I definitely don't think there's anything that women professionals lag behind in. It is the environment. It is the perception that needs a shift. And for that, maybe women need to more strongly come forth in what they deserve for. So, what's been my experience? My experience has been that if, let's say, a man, when comes forth an opportunity, he may be just about 60 to 70% ready for the opportunity, but jumps ahead and grabs the opportunity and builds on the way, you know. Whereas when it comes to women professionals, we probably, because we're conditioned to be multitaskers, because we're conditioned to just be managing so many responsibilities at one go, we kind of have, you know, learned to be harsh on ourselves. So we take up opportunities only when we're 120% ready for that opportunity. So I think that's where, if you want to point out a gap, is that women need to start coming forth, having confidence in their own capabilities, having confidence in their own credibilities, having confidence in the value that they bring to the table, and you know come beyond their own self-limiting beliefs. And I think that is a very important aspect that needs a lot of attention, is that women tend to be harsh on themselves. Women tend to have, of course, the environment also surrounds them with imposter, with biases and stereotypes and challenges and struggles that are unique to a woman's path when she climbs up the ladder. But I think one thing that she herself can take charge is to do away with the self-limiting beliefs, to do away with the self-doubt, to, if she's not invited into a room of decision making, maybe just carry her chair to the room and seat herself in the front table, have her ask clear, communicate the value that she brings to the table unapologetically. And trust you me, there are enough and more studies, which show that bringing in more women in decision making positions is not somebody doing a favor to the other gender. You know, go by statistics, go by data, and data states that women and their presence and their style of leadership can add trillions of dollars to the economy. So we're not doing anybody a favor.
Absolutely.
We've got to stand up for what we deserve for, which is where we slightly lag behind it. I'm definitely not using the word lag.
That's, I think, very, very powerfully communicated. It's not the lacking. It's just that, taking that, ownership to be visible and show up and say that I am capable. I think the need for demanding the position when you are not given, I think that sort of really stood out. And yes, as many visionaries have said that, if the woman is not on the boardroom, you might lose out a real foresighted decision making ability. So absolutely bang
Even
on.
if you just look at it from a logical perspective, right? Look at my household, look at your household, look at any household. Let's say an industry like the FMCG industry, right? When groceries are bought in the house, when consumer goods are brought into the house, women have a huge role to play in making a decision as to which is the viable product that they'd like to buy, in terms of quality, in terms of pricing, in terms of how does it fulfill the need for the family, is it nutritious enough, and all of those things. And we play a huge role there. Now, if none of us are in the four walls of the room where decisions are being made on products and markets and consumers and all of that, logically there's a gap. So all the more we need to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely, very, very well articulated. It is the decision making process, if you have seen, right from the womb, right, till the time you actually travel to the grave. The entire thing, the women are so constantly involved in every part of your decision making. And if that space has been created, I think it will be a beautiful world to live in. I love the conversation because I personally seen, Deepika, your first ever corporate diva episode where I participated. I think my vision has turned around. I have become a lot more confident. I have actually kind of shouldered the responsibility to go and ask for things, to show up, and to have a tribe, not to fall back, but fall forward to. Like they're always there. I think that's something, a very strong network you have built of women who are there whenever you need to call them, who are there by your side. And tomorrow, if we have to go up, we have to go up together. And that's, I think, really salute to you for the kind of incredible work what you have brought in. On that note, my next question, what I would like to know, you are creating a huge social impact and you are creating that significantly. You have impacted many lives, including mine. Every time I have always said out to every forum, I have seen that benefit. You have developed a strong tribe over the years where they're always there by your side. As the saying goes, when one woman gets transformed, she empowers the entire household and thereby the entire society at large. What is the message you'd like to give it to the world in this social impact which you're creating sitting from the corporate diva corner?
So, I think, again, a question that really puts me into a lot of thought that, what is my message? I think my message is very simple, very clear. There was a recent video of a 6-year-old that went viral as to, her questioning that why did Abraham Lincoln say all men lead? Or why is it, chairperson, don't women build? Aren't women equal? And all of that. I think that's where my messaging is, that it's just about equal opportunities. It's just about equal perceptions. It's just about equal presence. There have been several incidences, even the pandemic, let's say, there have been a lot of women that have been retrenched from work. And a lot of them come back saying that we were told that you guys are the secondary breadwinners. So, you still have a fallback mechanism, and could be one of the reasons, may not have been mentioned that bluntly, but we all understand the unsaid ethos as well. My ask is that why just can't we have a world of transparent leadership? Have a world where leadership is not based on whether you have to be a man or a woman or whatever. Cannot leadership be based on credibility, on sensitivity, on sensitization, on empathy, on factors that will provide organizations the deliverables? I understand corporates run a business and there are numbers to be met. So, what if we put aside the gender and we have two equal candidates who are equally delivering, who are equally productive, who are equally driven and authentic, and all of those qualities, and then take a call as to who we pick basis their credibility and all of that, and not basis that, oh, she's a woman, she'll be emotional, she'll have a bias, she has a family to take care of, and all of that. Yes, all of those are responsibilities, and a woman will never shy away from them. But that's her own personal journey. Let her create the ecosystem, whether she takes support from family, whether she builds support through an ecosystem of help or domestic help or professional help or whatever. That's her prerogative. Let's talk deliverables. And if she's coming forth with deliverables, I see no reason for her to be pushed aside, just because she's a woman. And, look at even fundings and startup fundings and all of that. Now, data suggests that only 3% of women end up getting VC fundings. Does it mean that out of a population of 100 people, only 3 women are capable of running businesses? I strongly disagree.
I too, completely.
A beautiful study by the Harvard Business Review, which says that even while being questioned on the VC rounds and all of that, women are questioned differently. Women are questioned for, let's say, calamities or what if things don't work out and all of that. Whereas men are questioned as to where do you see it go? Why do you see it go? How do you see it go? And questions are progressive in nature. Vis-a-vis for women, it is always, how will you manage your kids? How will you manage your family? That's her prerogative. Let her deal with it. If she doesn't deliver, then question it. You cannot question beforehand, you a lot of women very subtly are asked in interviews that, so when have you been married? If you're married recently, so you'll be planning a family. And I've experienced it myself very early in my career, where I was recently married and I had to, before marriage, I was being scheduled for a project to be led outside of India. And then came my marriage in between. And then very subtly, I was overlooked for that project for whatever reasons. But as if though me getting married overnight changed my credibility. Overnight, my capabilities dipped. Why? Because I'm a woman, because I
Absolutely.
have to start a
That's
family, right? Now, that's what is irking. And that's what the social message is, that let's treat caliber equally, you know,
brilliant.
and
Uh,
take a call on deliverables and not exceptions or not
yeah,
failure.
yeah. I have seen, I have led team for 80 and 100 and thousands of people. When women come and ask for a raise, they are always like, always underquoting, even being the super achiever. But when the men in my team have come and asked for a raise, they will actually, even if you have not achieved the target, but that the confidence, I record 40%, 30%, whatever. So that shows, always the society has put the question mark, and that somehow quite a lot of us subconsciously carried it way forward. As you said, only 3% of the women are funded by the VC. There are so many brilliant women-led company, and if you look at the success ratio, I can't remember the where did I read the article, but success ratio of women-led companies are much higher compared to that. I don't remember. That's why some business article I read. So this mentality, I think, we brought out beautifully. Once that changes, we'll see a different world altogether. Deepika, I have seen your journey very closely, and I've seen you how you grown this entire corporate diva tribe, the How Forum, amidst so many, conflict and difficulties and all. Have you ever failed? And if you have, what has been your biggest learning from that failure?
Of course, I've failed several times. I've fallen flat on my face several times. Um, be it, right from the word go. When I coined the name corporate diva, I had a different perception of diva in mind. And I thought that diva is a feeling of how you feel about your own self. It probably, to me, did not define a woman by the way she looks or her physical appearance, and all of that. So, my first so-called fallback or fallout or failure was the coining of the word. Many mentors came in very good sense from their end, saying that, you know what, change the name. And because I would walk into organizations and people would say that, oh, it's a diva program, no, we don't want a ramp walk, we don't want a fashion show. But for me to make them realize that diva is a feeling, diva is a sense, diva is every individual, every woman is a diva. That was a challenge, for sure. Now, talk about failure. I think every entrepreneur in their journey encounters failure, and the learnings that you get from those failures is something that no amount of success teaches you. I've had a failure in terms of, being duped of a huge amount of money by some event organizers when we were in an offline scenario. And you're naive, you're novice, you necessarily don't know how to read the MOUs in detail and all of that, so you'll end up signing very broadly termed MOUs of deliverables and all of that. And I did that mistake. I signed in terms of trust, in terms of that, yeah, it's a transactional thing, and I will pay and I will get the services, and I signed it on faith. But when it came to deliverables, I was duped of the huge amount of money, but I was never given that amount of deliverables in terms of what was promised. And when I went back to the MOU, it was so broad that I couldn't really raise a question. So my learning from there has been that now, either my team, and I have a legal team that creates documents. So either MOUs get prepared from our end, or any MOUs or any contracts coming in, I definitely spend my time and effort into reading every word of it and ensuring that all aspects of it are covered, and ensuring that there isn't a financial loss, or if there is something that the other person would not live up to, I have a fallback mechanism. So I think failures are great, you know. Um, it teaches you something that one would have never. I would have just very naively carried on trust and goodwill and all of that had I not had that falling flat on my face. But today I am far more clued up. I definitely know how to run the race better, is because of the fact that failures happened. And I say the same for negative feedback as well. You know, a lot of people say that, how is this different, or if a negative feedback comes or anything like that. I think a negative feedback, I'd mentioned that in one of my earlier interviews as well, that um, I take negative feedbacks as a free of cost audit. Somebody has spent time and effort and energy analyzing what all you do, finding gaps in that, and then coming forth and trying to kind of poke you on the gaps. With my wholeheartedly, I kind of welcome that, because, dude, you've done me a favor. I wasn't identifying those gaps. Now I do, so you help me improve.
I
You know,
think that's the positive attitude all about converting everything to a possibility and then, putting that brave face for every feedback. I think it's very well said. Somebody had done the analysis of your work so deeply that you're able to bring out the negative feedback. I
yeah.
love the way
Yeah,
you
and
said that.
trust you me, it also acts like a reiteration of in your own faith. Because if somebody thinks something is a gap, comes and tells you about it, maybe in a positive way or a negative way, it enables you to take time and analyze into it. If it's really a gap, you work towards bridging that gap. If it's not a gap according to you, and trust you me, as an entrepreneur, most of the times you are swimming against the tide. You know,
Very true.
people, it's not a norm what you're doing, so people do question that, and that for me reaffirms my belief in things that I'm doing and the way I'm doing it.
I think
I'm definitely doing it differently, and I have no qualms about the fact that I would continue doing it differently.
it's been beautiful journey. I think every adversity have a new opportunity, and in corporate diva bringing that platform, I think every adversity you converted. you know Great that thing had happened to you. That's why you were able to kind of go through that, a strong legal team going through the entire document. Every failure teaches us a very, very important lessons, as long as we are absorbing the positivity and learning from it and moving forward. Very, very well said, Deepika. On that note, my next question, I would love to know what's your vision for corporate diva.
My vision for corporate diva, because corporate diva comes from a space where I was in a spot and I didn't have any support mechanism when I was going through my own life cycle of being a woman professional, from being a very ambitious woman at work to moving countries and getting onto a forced sabbatical, to coming back and restarting my career, to finding my true north and becoming a social entrepreneur, and now every day a step forward towards entrepreneurship. If in one line I want to summarize what my vision of corporate diva and the platform is for anybody, and includes all genders, for anybody seeking support to either create or be a part of an equal leadership ecosystem, Corporate Diva wants to be that support platform where they could not only seek support and guidance, but can also, start on their path of identifying their purpose and get onto a trajectory of progress. So anybody across the globe who genuinely has that desire of growth and would want to see and contribute towards an equal leadership ecosystem, Corporate Diva will and should have something to offer. And which is where here I'd like to mention that, till now in India, we've been working exclusively with women, building women leaders. But we're soon launching our first cohort in South Africa, and that's open to men and women both. That's based on the concept of Ubuntu, which is a Zulu term, and that is inviting men and women equally to sign up on it, because I think as much as we're talking about women and women leadership and nurturing women to become leaders, we're in an ecosystem where both genders are in presence together. So it's equally important to sensitize men uh, on women leadership, you know. And that's why, as I said, a platform for equal leadership is what I envisage Corporate Diva to be.
That's a beautiful, beautiful journey. You already moved to different continent. That's so,
Yeah, actually,
it's
talking
such a
about
proud moment.
identifying opportunity in adversity, I remember in Jan 2020, Sangeeta, I was visiting Mumbai, because after Bangalore and Delhi, we had plans of launching Mumbai and Hyderabad that year. And then came the pandemic. And you know that I was a believer of the fact that impact happens on a one-on-one space. You've got to pick up vibes, you've got to read body languages, that emotional connect of an offline scenario was very important to me. But then I realized that what do we do? We have two ways out. Either we try an online model, it's okay that we fall flat on our face, but we leave no space for regret of not pivoting online in times where we could have explored new waters, or just sat back and wait for times to change back into an offline scenario. So we took the plunge and we launched the first online cohort. And in the first online cohort itself, we had participation from women in US as well, who were awake on the opposite side of the clock to be a part of the cohort. So where we were looking at expansion within India, cities within India, Feb 2020 and March 2021, we've done a global summit, which brought in, along with the dignitaries that you mentioned earlier, brought in 21 speakers from 12 countries across the globe, and we've touched 12 countries already. So that's the advantage of identifying opportunity in adversity, taking chances, that risk appetite of pivoting your business model and exploring newer shores. And and with that attitude that all right, if it doesn't work out, no problem, we'll still be where we are.
Absolutely. What a journey. And that all by yourself, without any support from any accelerator program, VC fund, the sugar daddy, Uncle Sam, Auntie Susan, all you have not got any, you've not taken any support from anybody, all single-handedly with your core team. I think it's been actually it's a history by itself, what you have done.
One of
Seriously.
my mentors, who happens to be one of the dignitaries that you mentioned, she told me one thing, that they will question you, they will not give you the money, but you've got to always remind yourself that you're not going to be selling yourself cheap. So I believe in that. There is going to be a time and a progression growth roadmap that will happen. When the funding needs to come, it will come. But for me, foundations need to be strong, and ethics need to be top on priority. And how far will the funding run? And if they do, they're the ones who are going to be getting more. I mean, the platform is the one that's going to be getting more expensive.
Absolutely. You have proven things that, you generally, people need funding for growth, not survival. You have not only survived, you have grown over the years. So this is like a fabulous, fabulous journey. And I was literally getting goosebumps when you're talking about the story. It was so powerful and impactful. And what a journey. Last half decade of growing it to 12 countries across multiple continents has been phenomenal. Kudos, Deepika. Hats off to you. On that note, I will jump to my next question. You have been an icon for many people. You have been very, very successful. People do look up to you for your guidance. Starting from Bangalore, and I have seen, because of my book, Celebrate Your Wings, happen because we had the conversation. Sangeeta, you wanted to launch the book. Please come to my platform because I am doing the Corporate Diva Delhi chapter. Go ahead and launch it. I know how within 2 months we wrapped up everything. You have been the source for that book launch. I owe, this is a huge, huge honor for me to be a part of this ecosystem. I also have seen you are present across various countries and continents. What has been your success sutra for you? That's a question I ask to all my dignitary guests in my show. What what made you? What is the success formula you have followed?
Well, thanks. You got me emotional there, Sangeeta. Yes, that book um, was is equally dear to me, and that conversation that we had, and you entrusting me with approval of your team for the launch of that book and all of that. I think my success sutra is going to be that I trust and I enable people to trust me. I definitely, most definitely trust my tribe. The Corporate Diva tribe has been my personal fallback mechanism as well. Along with purpose, along with authenticity, along with impact, along with drive, I think trust and treating a human soul as a human soul and not a mere number has been my success sutra. Whatever, I mean, success is variable. The definition of success is variable for others. A lot of times success is measured by numbers and the amount of money and financials and commercials and all of that. Like other things that I define differently, I define success differently as well. I define success in terms of impact, and that's where I wear my stripes with pride, and have made a difference. So the success sutra is that, along with authenticity, empathy, purpose, intent, impact, drive, trust, and more than trust, as much as tech can innovate, we're still humans innovating for human impact. So let's not forget the human part of it.
This is the one of the very powerful word. We are the human impacting for human. That's so powerful. I always love the conversation, Deepika, because so much of wisdom you bring into every word of yours, and you bring it out so beautifully. I have been watching. There are over 2,000 people watching on the YouTube live, and there are lots and lots of questions pouring in. I'll come back to the questions. With that note, I always ask my guest a few rapid fire questions, and then also I give options to choose one. So if we are ready, can we jump onto the rapid fire round?
Do I have a choice? Please go ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please hang on. We'll come back and answer all those questions after this two round, which will not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. So we will address your question. Deepika, what is that is there any moment that has changed your life's perspective? Any moment of childhood?
Yes. And I must tell you that that wasn't a pleasant moment that changed my life. It was body shaming, it was bullying, and it made me dip as an individual in terms of my self-respect, my self-esteem, and all of that. And I grappled with that for a while, until and when I say a while, until my about early 30s, I was still grappling with all of that in terms of self-doubt, in terms of body shaming, in terms of bullying. But then one fine day, I just made a decision to build myself up. And from there, there's been no looking back. I wish I could have made that decision earlier. So that's from the childhood.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I think once each one of us could embrace our own personality in our own clothes, in our own attire, I think that's what the transformational moment for us. Now, quickly, a little fun moment we generally have in the rapid fire. So, who's your favorite actor?
I feel acting a lot of them can do, but nobody beats the looks of George Clooney.
Oh my God. He's my hero too. Yes, actually, he's ultimate. And who's the favorite actress?
I think all of them are great. But I'd say Demi Moore.
But?
Demi Moore.
Oh, Demi Moore. Oh, I think she's a very powerful presence about her. right? I kind of see a couple of movies, and she's really very powerful presence in the screen with that sharpness and sweetness both. On that note, any of the movie by them which you can watch in the loop?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Any movies by them which you can keep on watching in the loop?
Well, you know what? I can keep on watching Gravity because I can keep on seeing George Clooney all the time, right? So I'd rather stay glued to that movie for him.
You know, you're a big fan out right here. If I get to interview him someday soon, I'll definitely bring that up. On that note, my next question: favorite food?
Um, a lot. I'm a foodie,
You
so
are?
that's a tough
Doesn't look
one
that
for me.
way.
But I think I'd say sushi and Thai food are
Okay.
my two topmost favorites.
Sticky rice with the yellow gravy. That's one of Thai or some other thing.
Well, pad Thai and somtam in Thai food are like topmost.
Right.
And tom yum goong and sushi anytime. I don't discriminate.
Okay. Lovely. Awesome. So there are a lot of Zen restaurants in the Bangalore. I'm sure you can grab it as soon as the lockdown gets lifted. Now, tell me one moment. Tell me what makes you one moment that you treasure always. I'm sure there'll be multiple of them, but one that defining moment.
One defining moment was, I think, each time my tribe undergoes transformation and adds value to themselves and takes a step forward, each of those moments have been very, very special to me. And I take those moments as my turning points because those moments are the ones that define my progress, my journey of impact. So, be it your book launch, be it somebody who's got a raise in their designation, be it somebody who has overcome a fear, maybe in the domain of public speaking or things like that. Each time my tribe achieves is a moment for me to cherish. And I
Wow.
actually have maintained a journal where each time my tribe writes to me on their achievement, I log them into that journal of mine because
Wow.
that's my special book.
This is so beautiful. No wonder you're actually creating such impact in so many lives because you are one such treasured person who treasure everything around the tribe. And that's what will make you special. Now, quickly, a little funny question. What's been your most embarrassing moment? Sorry, but I generally ask this question to all my guests.
So my most embarrassing moment, there are many. I mean, I just have a knack of getting myself embarrassed very frequently. So there are many, but I think uh, you know if it's funny, I can take you back to college. And my most embarrassing moment then was that we were in our first year. So, after grade 12, you're all excited that college is going to be fun and we're going to be bunking classes and having fun and all of that. So, in my first year, I was studying economics, and we just, as a class, decided that, we're going to request ma'am to just let go of the class today. And so all the decision was made, and the teacher walks in and takes the attendance. And soon after the attendance, we start shouting, ma'am, can we please cancel the class, cancel the class. And she said, she was a tall lady, and she said, put her pen down and said that, all right, stand up whosoever wants the class to be cancelled. And I thought everybody's going to stand up because it was a consensual kind of a decision that we don't want the class today. And I stand up and I look around and I'm the only one standing. And she says, Deepika, get up and go out of the room. So yeah, I
This is
tend to
funny.
embarrass myself every now and then. But
Oh my God. And
I've been a naughty kid for sure.
which grade was it?
This was first year in college.
Oh. Okay, on that note, the last two questions before we go to the Q&A and choose one. Last two question: who has been your mentor?
Sangeeta, I've been blessed with many mentors.
but one key mentor who you always look up to.
One key mentor that I would always look up to is life in itself. I think what life teaches you, nobody else teaches you. No matter how much you strategize, no matter how much career progression planning that you do, no matter what you put on the piece of paper, life will always throw googlies at you that you need to innovatively think and solve. Look at the pandemic. None of us ever envisaged this to be a part of our life, but life threw that in it. And you know what's the best in human is that desire to thrive, not only survive. And we're doing a pretty good job as a human race through the pandemic in terms of reinventing and innovating ourselves. Leave aside the devastation that it has caused. So I'd say my biggest mentor is life. If I don't want to name so many others who've been supporting me. If I have to choose one out of them, it's life per se, because you can be planning anything. There's a lovely quote which says that you must be busy making plans, and then life happens.
The other plan,
and
right?
Yeah.
I no way I could actually catch you in any question, because they always come out being such authentic in every answer. Now this is a very tricky one, and I'm sure all the tribes are going to kill me if they hear me asking that question. Who amongst you have actually developed about 5, 6, 7 group of 8 tribes, right? Tribe 1, tribe 2, like we have a different chapter: Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay, multiple. Who has been the most closest tribe in this entire episode of last 10 or 12 tribe which you have formed, the group of tribe you have formed? So
no, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for sure.
As I said, all the tribe going to kill me tomorrow. But who has been most closest? Which tribe has been the most closest? You have to choose.
I have to choose.
Yes.
I think when I merged all of them together into one corporate diva tribe, that's the most closest for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't capture her with any word. She always has an answer for everything. I love that. Okay. On that note, let me jump to, I generally give 2 options. You have to choose one of them. Okay. And after that, I will have a lot of questions which I'll take the question answer. Given a chance, being kind and being right, which one would you choose?
Being kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hurt me with the truth or comfort me with the lie?
Hurt me with the truth.
Okay. Andaman or Grand Canyon?
I'm a Fauji beti, right? So my country is very, very dear to my heart. So Andaman.
Thank you. Mountain or ocean?
Mountains. In fact, I'm a qualified mountaineer as well. So,
wow.
And my dad was a mountaineer as well. So I think that enthusiasm just runs in my DNA. So mountains.
I didn't know this part of yours. You have so many feathers in your cap. Book or a movie?
Movie. I can't read a book to save my life. I can gather all the knowledge. I'm just not a textual learner. I learn differently. I'm more of an auditory and audiovisual kind of a learner. So movie, any day.
Lovely. Same with me, I think. A chat or a phone call?
Phone call. Any day, phone call.
Okay. Given a pandemic, given a current situation, you have an option to hang out with your friends outside. Suppose the pandemic is lifted and you have the option to hang out with your friends outside, or spend the evening over your couch in front of Netflix. Which one would you choose?
Any day, hang out with my friends. And I'm reiterating the fact that the pandemic is over, which I really wish that happens soon.
Ratish, I think you're listening.
Right? I think there's been enough Netflix and family time at home and all of that. I am terribly missing my tribe. So I need to hang out with my tribe and give them that tight tribe hug that we have.
Okay, now tell me, now you have done so many online events under Corporate Diva. What format would you choose going forward, offline or online?
A hybrid.
Deepika, how can I arrest you in one question? You tell me, give me some idea. Okay, with that question, we end our session, but we have lots and lots of questions coming in. So we'll pick up one question. There are 2,000 plus viewers watching this show. Thank you so much for staying in. You have been really wonderful. There are questions which has come from, I can't read the name, Dreams. Gender biases is such a deep rooted thought. How can we fight the gender biases, especially to women with lesser privilege of, say education? So how they can fight gender biases when they come from a lesser privileged background, doesn't have the proper education?
Great question. Thank you for coming up with that question. The first thing is, I don't treat it as a fight. It's not a battlefield. It's human being sensitized to be more humane. Now, coming to the fact that how can a woman with lesser privilege and lesser education, I think she's got to first make that choice of getting herself educated. Be firm there. Because you educate a woman, you educate a village, literally. So if she can take that first step towards her education and educate herself, and then as an educated woman, bring up the next generation in an equal scenario and not discriminate at home between her son and her daughter, I think we've got a very bright future when it comes to bridging gender gaps. It all starts from home, and it all starts by that one woman who's taken that choice to educate herself. So
Thank you for that answer. That's a beautiful answer. Hope Dreams, somebody called Dreams have posted it. Okay. Next question came from Aditya. Sometimes women are not led to. Sometimes they don't realize their own worth. How to uplift the overall thinking of the society? Good question again.
good question. Yeah. Women, I think a lot of us, and I can today say that with experience, right from the age group of, emerging women leaders and women students, to women who've been corporate honchos and been board members and all of that, they all suffer from that sense of imposter, that sense of self-doubt. And I think the only way out is to support them and entrust them with investing in their own growth. And I'll give you an example for this, a corollary for this is that when women go shopping for jewelry, not many are questioned at home. Even if it's a woman who's maybe on a sabbatical or off work or whatever, because an immediate value of the investment is seen in that piece of diamond or that piece of jewelry or whatever. So there's a transactional, immediate gratification kind of a thing. If we can gift our women with an allocation of a budget to invest in her own growth, that is how we will enable them overcome self-doubt. Because I work in a space where a lot of us are in denial that we don't need coaching, we don't need mentoring, we're doing fine, we're progressing fine. But once they actually invest in themselves and learn more about themselves, they realize how self-limiting they are to their own selves. So imparting knowledge, allocating a budget for their own investment in growth is something that you can support, and each one of us can support ourselves on.
Thank you so much. We're not able to take too many questions because of the time limit, but this question came from Anushka. I have been very fearful of asking for a raise, as I have seen people were taken back when they ask for a promotion or a raise. How can we work better to battle this phobia? That's a good question again.
Very good question. And for that, I will start with an example, Anushka. One of my tribe who was a good senior HR executive in a Fortune 500 organization. I obviously wouldn't take names. When maternity happened, and after maternity, she was absorbed back into the organization. So when she entered the corporate diva cohort, she said that, I'm very grateful to my organization. I'm very lucky that they absorbed me back and my work is with me and all of that. And I said, that's your perspective. Turn the tables around and see, you are an IIM alumni. You bring deliverables to the table. You have credibility. If the organization has identified you to be absorbed back into the system, is because they see 10x, minimum 10x value in you. So don't underestimate your own value that you bring to the table. Don't consider yourself, I'm lucky and I'm fortunate and all of that. Tell yourself that you're worthy and deserving. And that's why, because no profit making organization is doing charity, right? So you've got to identify and understand your own true value and worth and stick to that, what you're deserving. And with confidence, go and present. If you're looking for a pay rise or whatever, say, this is the value that I bring to the table, and show the trajectory of progress and own that trajectory, and therefore your confidence will win you. I think there's a beautiful short snippet of Priyanka Chopra that I saw, that at the age of 18 she won the Miss World. She didn't win the Miss World because she had all the wisdom in the world. She won Miss World because of her confidence. If you can bring that confidence, the world is your platform.
Yeah, in fact, that's beautiful. I remember that speech of Priyanka. It is because how it gave me a confidence once I was 18 to win the Miss World crown. Absolutely. Okay, beautiful questions coming in. We are just shortlisting a few questions. Last two questions before we end the show. It has asked by Rama. Some responsibilities lie on women. It is a time that big brands take this in hand to uplift the gender cliche at home. Why there is so less campaign for the actual upliftment and growth of women image in home?
You know, long ago when I was on sabbatical, my husband always told me, don't undermine yourself. There is a huge economic importance of a woman who's a caregiver, a nurturer at home. And I brushed it away because we women have been drilled in by the fact that your only worth, your only value is based on the paycheck that you derive. So I think, and that's the reason why a lot of our work is undermined and pushed aside and taken it as, oh, she's a woman, that's but her job to do. But understand the value of nurturing the next generation, understand the value of being an unconditional caregiver and bridging gaps between generations in your household. There isn't a paycheck that can do justice to that. That's priceless. Don't consider your inputs as something that's going waste. And we need to attach economic relevance to all of that work for that to be recognized. And then that recognition slowly trickles down. Look at you, Sangeeta. You have your child, you have both sides of your parents staying with you. You're a working mother. So you're multitasking between being a professional at work, between raising the next generation and caregiving to the previous generations. How can anybody put a price tag to all of that? But there has to be an economic valuation of that needs to be brought to the table for people to realize the importance of what we do.
Okay, this question, my team in the back end shortlisting a few questions before posting it. This person did not want the name to be exposed, so I'm just picking the question like that. I am forced to be sitting in a room where I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with my current manager, the way he looks or behaves. When I say something, he gives me a sentence, it can cost you a job. I know I cannot go back to my HR. What is the best way? Can corporate diva support me to take me out of the situation? I'm sorry, it's a tough question, but
no, it's not a tough question. It's something that I deal with day in and day out. The first thing is that Sangeeta, if they can share their email ID with you, you could just give them my email ID and I could reach out to them on a one-on-one as well. Second is, you've got to evaluate your own value and worth. Are you really scared of losing your job? Right? And report it to authorities. Second is, have a backup plan. Always have a fallback mechanism. So if you're not in a comfortable stage, right, and if there is, these double meaning things coming from your managers and which make you uncomfortable, one is that those can be reported under POSH. And second is that please, on the parallel, look out for other opportunities and get yourself an opportunity and make the shift. don't, in no way should you undervalue yourself.
Absolutely.
There is
We are
trust.
there. The entire tribe is there. Please do reach out. I will connect you to Deepika. There are immense possibility. If you're not comfortable, don't have to sit in, don't have to
You
do
don't
anything.
have to
Just
give.
stand out, make a voice heard. We are all there to support you. Don't
Absolutely.
shy.
You don't.
It
I mean, I
happens
think
all the time.
that is something that we as a tribe, we're a tribe of fierce lionesses, right? So you can definitely count on us to at least find ways and means for getting you, traverse through this.
We are
But
there and we'll together make this journey happen. We'll make together make the transition happen. So we are there. Just don't be fearful. Just go out. And what you are not comfortable, say it out loud. We'll figure out how anybody can take the job away. And if they do, there are multiple other options. We are there for you. Thanks so much for that question. It requires guts to ask that question. Thank you for that. I will wanted to end the session because already it's past 9, but I want to take the last question. And before that, it came from Rishabh. It feels that women with privileged lifestyle are enjoying equal position, but the truth is far from it. Every woman at some level is facing similar thing. How can so many women in so many different areas can be taken forward together?
beautiful question. Now, it also depends on how do you define women of privilege and how do you define equal positions, right? Yes, you can say that women who have inherited business come from privileged backgrounds, but then the same privilege happens even to men, right? When they inherit businesses or set up models for themselves. Having said that, you have a very critical point here, which says that how can other women climb up and take those decisions who do not have that privilege? I think other women, I always say that the foundations have to be on your subject matter expertise. That is not compromisable because that remains the foundation where we can help you. And that's why Corporate Diva as a platform is not a area specific platform. So we don't just say that we will bring in women from FMCG or we will bring in women only from pharma. In the platform, we have women coming from aeronautics, we have women coming from motors, from pharma backgrounds, from FMCG backgrounds, from aviation backgrounds, across backgrounds, because the subject matter expertise is something that they have to build on their own. What requires, along with the subject matter expertise, is what the platform offers. And feel free to reach out to us if you know of any qualified women who are unable to take the next step forward. We'll definitely have support to guide them to go forward.
Thank you so much. We thought we'll have the session for half an hour. It went for 1 hour. Still the questions pouring in, but we picked out the right questions and there has been such engaging audience. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. Deepika, I must say before I end the session, you have been an immense, I could say, goddess Durga in a way in my life, because when I was trembling upon with so much of insecurity about my existence, you told me 2 words, Sangeeta, you have the potential to become the myth breaker and trendsetter. Just go and prove it to the world. I remember how I was confused when I had that broken uh, torn ligament before I actually appeared for the Corporate Diva grand finale, and then just because of the confidence, apparently, that your honor was given to me. From there, the entire journey of mine, without knowing the language, without really studying in the language, to be able to write in the same English language and launch a book and become a bestseller. I think you had a hand beside me all the time and the aura around me always. I am indebted truly for lifetime for giving that confidence and the boost at a time when I needed it the most. And not only me, like me, many women, you have impacted so many lives. Today, the reason your icon is so successful because of few women like Deepika who were there just by my side around like a rock. Anytime I had to call at any middle of the night, they're always there. And I salute those few women, and you are one of them. Thank you for creating the space,
Thank
helping
you.
us to identify
But
the
let me
identity.
just put in 2 words over there that all of what you have achieved has always been in you. It's just that, trust you me, and I think that's something that I take as a privilege, as an honor, that God has put me in a position where I'm the mediator. It's just like, those uncut diamonds, those raw diamonds who are not valued. The moment they get into the cutting and grinding and they sparkle is when people value them. I'm just in that space of picking those diamonds up and cutting and grinding them. They have their own element. They have everything in them that takes them to be and to sparkle. They just need that nudge to be cut and polished a little, and then they're on their own. Nothing changes. They're still made of the same element. This is also made of the same element. You've just got a mediator who cuts, grinds, and polishes them a little bit, and they shine.
And that's what corporate diva all about. Beautifully summarized. Beautifully summarized. Any ending, last, part of your wisdom before we end the session to our audience?
To everybody, men or women, it's very important in a world of technology to remain human. Own your human emotions unapologetically, and just don't take it as a gender battle. We're not in a war zone. Even if we are in a war zone, we are against an unseen enemy of that virus which has caused the pandemic. Besides that, at the end of the day, man or woman, or any other gender orientation, we are in it together. We've just got to hold hands, bases credibilities, bases deliverables, and take each other forward. Let's not call it a war zone. Let's not call it a battle. And one last thing is, please, 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 I've learned it the hard way, but please believe more in yourself. There isn't anything more powerful than that. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in the work that you do, if you believe in whether you're an entrepreneur, and if you believe in the product that you're selling, whether you get the funding or not, that's aside, you will make it successful because you know that you will use your product. So just have that faith in yourself and just believe in yourself. There's nothing more powerful.
I think what could have been a better way to end the session, the true essence of anybody is that self-belief, because the biggest asset you ever have is not the car you drive, not the degree you hold, not the house you belong, not the parampara that is sort of been there. It is you yourself. And that's what corporate diva all about, transforming your journey. And thank you so much, Deepika. It has been honor and pleasure and privilege to host you and launch Social Impact series through you. Thank you for coming on my show. Thoroughly enjoyed the Saturday night. Couldn't have been a better way to kind of spend that time with so much of wisdom, knowledge, laughter, and still a lot of meaningful takeaway.
Completely my pleasure. I really thank the audience for logging in and giving their valuable time, because I think the most valuable thing somebody can give to anybody is their time. So thank you so much for that. And kudos to you, Sangeeta. Hats off to yours, essence of grit and determination. Keep climbing, keep rising, and just, beyond the sky is your limit.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thanks, audience. I had to really personally convey my thanks. Over 2,000 people logging in on a Saturday night meant a lot to us. Keep supporting your icon. We'll come out with many, many interesting life stories and live journals and brilliant life lessons.
And one request I have, Sangeeta, for all the questions that weren't answered, please do send me an email. I will answer them and you can put them on the comments section of this particular YouTube.
Absolutely. So we'll take the question. Sorry, whoever question we're not able to take due to lack of time, but she will get back to you with her response. Thank you so much again. Good night, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. Thanks, Deepika, once again.
Be safe.